Finish this sentence for me, Tom. A builder who doesn't estimate properly in 2026 is
going under.
Welcome to the Build Insite podcast. Real people, real insights. Step into the world of innovative construction, one conversation at a time.
Today's guest is Tom Lawson from Vision to Estimating. The conversation will dive deep into 3D construction modelling and how V2E can help educate your clients and transform your business.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Build Insite podcast. Today, we've got Tommy Lawson from Vision to Estimating, also known as V2E. He's flown over from Adelaide. We are day after our hub launch and our live event here in Circa and Bowens in Port Melbourne. And thanks to you, Tommy, a little bit seedy from pulling out the V2E credit card at the pub last night. So, yeah.
It's not too bad. Pulled off all right. So
welcome, mate. I think you said last night you and Luca in Adelaide.
Yeah.
We were in Tassie together last year, but it's taken everyone to come to Melbourne.
That's right. To do a podcast
together, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Better late than never.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. So, no, it's great to be here. Awesome space. Event yesterday was sweet. So, yeah.
We built up the suspense, mate.
Yeah, I know. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Who is Tom Lawson,
Yeah,
mate? Where'd your journey start out, buddy?
Right. So I'm from a little country town called Balaclava in
Are you
South
really?
Australia. Yeah. Do you know
No
where that
way.
is?
Yeah, mate, I grew up in Riverton.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everyone else is going to be listening.
Adelaide,
It's going
yeah.
like, where the hell are these
As in,
places?
Like, so
You're north, yeah?
We're north,
Yeah.
like 90 minutes? Riverton and Ballack are like 15 minutes away from each other.
Yeah.
Maybe
half
20.
hour, 20
You reckon?
minutes, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same direction from Adelaide, at least, anyway.
Where'd you go to school then?
Riverton.
Yeah, right.
You obviously went in Ballack.
Yeah, in Ballack.
Yeah.
Grew up in the town there. So
There you go.
yeah, crazy. Well, that's interesting.
So that's where you grew up.
Yeah,
so
that's where I grew up.
Yeah.
So when I was at school, I was pretty keen on, design and all that kind of stuff. And the way I like to tell the story is I thought I wanted to be an engineer, structural engineer, and then I did a year of structural engineering and found out I didn't want to be a structural engineer after being at uni for a year kind of thing. And then I was like, but I really liked, I just didn't like sitting down and doing like complex maths and went, if I have to do this the rest of my life, I'm not going to be happy kind of thing. So as I said, but what I loved was the structural design, the problem solving part, and loved the drafting and drawing because I was really good at drawing and stuff like that. So then I went, well, maybe I'll try architecture. So then I swapped into architecture and did a year of architecture, and then same thing, found out pretty quickly I didn't really want to be an architect either kind of thing. So I was kind of stuck going, I'm good at this and I like doing this, but I don't really fit in either sort of camp kind of thing. Because when I was doing structural engineering, I was keen on problem solving, but like I said, I wasn't keen to sit down and do complex calcs all the time. And with architecture, I really loved the problem solving drawing part, but we used to have to do subjects where we did a subject that was called representation, and that was all about like the feeling and the shapes and things like that. And so I remember having a conversation with one of my lecturers, and they're going, oh, you've put this column here. How come it's here? How come it's round? How come it's this? And my answers were all like, well, if there's no column there, the roof's going to fall down. Like, it's there because if it's not there, then it's not going to work structurally. And why is it round? I don't know, because that's the shape that I drew. Like, those are the kind of answers I was giving. So I wanted to find something sort of practical. So then I started working for K&B Timber, well, it used to be Keith Timber, I think, as a frame and truss detail. Because frame and truss detailing, so in like SA, this, like we are a little bit different to Vic, where like the structural engineers only really do concrete and steel design, and then framing designers do the rest of it kind of thing. So, and you need your framing design to get certification, building rules. So truss and frame and timber designers in Adelaide actually come in a lot earlier, and there's a lot more emphasis on what we do there. So I did that for 7 or 8 years kind of thing, doing roof truss designing and rafter designs, and then pre-nail wall designs, floor truss designs. So worked on a few big developments, custom jobs, stuff like that. And we were using Prida, and Prida has a really good, like when you draw the 2D truss, it has a 3D truss file as well. So I was getting into modelling and structural modelling and stuff like that. And what we found working in the timber company was what's a really easy process was like a builder can come with plans, we can work out a BOQ, and then we can quote it and then supply it. And so we kind of went, that works really well. It's a pretty straightforward process. So Michael, who was the owner of K&B Timber, now K&B, and my boss and business partner of V2E, he sort of had this idea. He's a bit of an ideas man. He sort of said, well, why couldn't we take the same idea and do that for like a whole project for someone? So we used to say you do 3 steps. You do draw, and then you design, and then you count. So your drawing is creating the model, designing is problem solving, and then that should equal a BOQ. So we went, well, we can do it really well with framing. Why can't we do it across the whole board? And so that led us down into, all right, well, how do we find software, 3D model? We got this SketchUp, we've got Plusspec. How do we make that work? So that was 2019, 2020 when we did that. And then back then we were a team of, I think I was the 5th staff member at V2E. And now we have 17 modelers in the team.
Whoa.
Plus me and 3 or 4 like support management staff as well.
Wow.
So
you've kind of just followed along with Michael as well.
Pretty much,
it,
yeah. So the way we work together, he likes to describe himself as a seagull, which he says he flies in, stirs a lot of shit up, and then flies out, kind of thing. And the way I like to think about it is he comes in with all these crazy ideas, and then I say to him, you got to give me a month to figure out how the hell I'm going to make it work, and then I'll tell you, right, this is how we can do it, kind of thing. So, but it's worked pretty well so far. So,
For over 130 years, Bowens has been the builder's choice, providing a service that provides timber, hardware and innovative building products.
And now we're helping you further with this wonderful partnership.
The family that have been here for generations, Bowens, has been powering the Australian building industry with family values, trusted service and the drive to make our industry better. They're helping us provide you the insights that matter. Build Insight, together with Bowens.
Real people,
Real insights.
Yeah.
So with the Adelaide SA approach, so obviously having the frame design separately to an engineer, so vision to estimating, we'll get into what vision to estimating is in a minute, but are you guys basically doing the design for the frame, trusses, and then modelling? So it's all one-stop shop, basically.
Exactly. So how it works is like, the process would be you come in and you still do planning approval, like normal. So just shape, is it going to fit on the block, all that kind of stuff. And then to get your building rules or building approval, you've got to have full structural set. But in SA, the process works. First thing you need to do is get a full truss set, because we had 10 or 15 years ago, there was a big truss collapse. So now you need to have certified truss designs before getting to site, kind of thing. So you got to have truss designs. Then you've got to design your framing, and engineers don't typically do that. Couple of reasons why. Number one, because SA is very heavy stick build market. Even still like traditional stick build as well, like a lot of cut end steel and stuff like that. And engineers just that don't necessarily have the right connection with what's actually happening in the market compared to what's just on span tables, kind of thing.
Who does the timber frame design in Vic?
Well, an engineer will nominate it, and then then either you guys as builders have got to figure out your orders yourself, or like if a truss supply company is doing like pre-nail walls, they won't do any of the designing. They'll base it on the engineer.
Your framing layouts and stuff that shows like where your load points are, double studs, triple studs. Who does that?
Engineer.
Engineer does that.
Yeah,
right.
But they'll do everything. Like if for a truss design, we'll just have like plan, roof plan, truss plan. It'll just have like a white line, a line running across that roof with a notation. Truss design by truss manufacturer.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And then from our side, I know you guys are like certifiers, where we're building surveyors with the terminology. Yeah. So from a building surveyor's point of view, they don't necessarily need anything, but when it comes down to signing off the frame, they need the compliance, the certified drawings, truss layout comps and everything. And then that's obviously got to be stamped off for the handover of the project as well.
So you know how we have framing layouts where we'll say not only like, it's a 240/45 lintel, but ours will also say like, hey, it's a 2.4 windows, so the lintel's got to be a 2.7 to make sure it works. Like these guys don't get any of that.
Well, you got to work that out.
It'll just show what the lintel is, or maybe the lintel table, lintel's up this wide, use this size, and that's it.
Far out. So V2E is really, the way that the Victorian guys, you guys can utilise that then. That takes all the work out of it for you.
Yeah, and we'll dive into that. But I guess, let's jump into first, like, what's V2E, vision to estimating?
So probably a good thing to talk about what we actually do before we go too
Rather
deep
than
into
be
the
like,
tech.
what is this?
That's
It's
right.
letters and numbers and stuff.
People hear estimating, we just think, oh, you're just another shit kicker estimator popping up in my junk box or Instagram.
Yeah.
Just quickly though, do you guys do the truss design, or is that still back with K&B?
So we have a agreement with like Prida as well. So we've got all our guys that's like certified in Prida designs and tilling, smart frame design. So this is to round out that conversation. The difference between our guys in like SA and Vic is that anything that can be covered by 1684 or 4440, like we can all design and sign off on that on behalf of a builder or designer as well, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
What's the connection between V2E and K&B, or is it two separate
No,
parties?
two separate. Completely separate. So, just do some work for them.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we're a pure consultant company now. So, so to answer the question of what V2E is, so, I mean, from top level, we're an estimating company kind of thing. However, we do it a little bit differently in terms of what I'm a massive believer on is that builders should own your own pricing information kind of thing, and pricing a job is not necessarily the hard thing. What the hard part is sitting down and doing all the grunt work of like working out what goes into it, right? So traditional estimating, what happens is somebody comes in and sets a budget for something, and that budget is supposed to represent everything that goes into that category. So you might have a plastering budget, you know what I mean, for the job, for example. And that's supposed to cover materials, labour, whatever it is happens at the plastering stage. And what happens is the budget's set here at a pricing stage, and then that's used to sign a contract, and then that gets handed over to construction, and the construction team goes, all right, now I've got to make sure the plastering not only comes into this budget that's been sit over here, but also now I've got to make sure this is right. I might have to do a site measure. I might have to redo a takeoff for materials. I might have to check POs, all that kind of stuff, right? Where we try and look at it is go, if you could flip it on its head and go, well, why don't I do all that work up front and work out how many sheets there are, what the glue, everything I need, all my line items. And if I know what I need to pay for all those line items, then aren't I going to get a more accurate representation of what the budget should be because I've actually worked it down from a construction level. And also I'm going to connect pricing to construction a lot easier because when it gets passed over, there's no rework anymore kind of thing. So there's so much wasted time in construction estimating process from just redoing takeoffs all the time. Like set an allowance for this, but now I've got to order it. So project manager's got to sit down and work it out kind of thing.
Whereas, oh shit, I need it on site next week. I still haven't done a takeoff.
Yeah, exactly right kind of thing. So, and when it comes in as stuff like I'm a big anti like square metre rates guy kind of thing as well, because some traditional estimators have so easy to go, oh, we use a rate of, say, like $250 a square metre for flooring install, supply install, and that's covering joists, yellow tongue, glue, all that kind of stuff, right? And you go, okay, so now I'm on site and I got to order it, and I go, well, now I've got to figure out how many sheets, glue, what my joists are, does it include the engineering?
Haven't done anything.
And I've got to make sure what I've done fits in the budget that was set for me, which was based on a square metre rate. So it's never really made sense to me. The other thing that's also fine, guys that give pricing from an estimating point of view, is I hear so often is like, you guys get a price back from an estimator kind of thing, and you'll review it, and you number one, replace half of it with the quotes that you get from your own suppliers, or number two, it's not really reflective of your market. So you guys build jobs in Melbourne, and you build jobs in the sticks like Masson.
Yep.
They're not the same prices,
No.
not the same rates. You know what I mean? Like I used to say, so, for example, Metricon, they build out near where we're from now, kind of thing. However, and Metricon can have a same design house, but building the
different location,
the plant 75 or whatever the hell they're going to call their design in Adelaide, in West Lakes where I live, compared to building it in like Newry. It's the exact same design, house finishes. It's not going to be the same price because tradies out there are going to charge different rates. There's going to be different delivery fees, all that kind of stuff. So what I find is it's really funny to explain that to people and go, they kind of go, oh, yeah, but I need the price because I need to sign a contract. And you go, okay. And I've had this happen multiple times where you're kind of having a conversation about a builder and say, no, we don't price it, but this is why. And they go, oh, well, it just doesn't make sense. And then it's about like 18 months later, they come back and go, I get it now kind of thing. Because like, it's like what I've said, they've stuck with them. Yeah. And then over their next couple of projects, they're like, now I see what he's saying kind of thing. Yeah. So, and the other part that's different about us is we don't do any like manual takeoff. So we don't use like Bluebeam, or we don't use like paper pen or highlight or anything. Everything we do comes from our 3D modelling software. So the other problem that we tried to solve, and I learnt this from doing frame truss detailing, is like everyone's got so many sets of documentation that go into one project. And you guys as builders, one of the biggest magic tricks you guys have to pull off is like you've got 10 or 15 different sets of documents that you've had nothing to do with. You're not a designer, you're not a structural engineer, you're not a structural steel shop drawing person, but somehow you've got to be responsible to make sure they all work together on site, right? So having a process where I can go, well, here's the plans, here's engineering, here's the interiors, here's the retaining, civil, all that. I want to be able to check that they're actually going to work together before I get to site. And so that's what we try and do with our 3D modelling process. So we kind of like to say what we really are is like a problem-solving business turning unresolved plans into a resolved project. We just happen to be able to do estimating and structural design at the same time. So
Circa Studio is Australia's leading interior design centre. If you're an architect, building designer, interior designer, builder, or just looking to build your dream home, you need to make a time and come in and check out the space here in Port Melbourne.
With everything from wall and ceiling linings, doors, architectural hardware, cladding and flooring.
This space holds every element that you'll possibly need to design your dream home.
So the vision is the model that comes through. So when we've worked together for about a year or so now. We send across set of design drawings. We have the engineering. That all gets built into the model, which is really interactive. You can layer it. Section detail it, bring everything right back. One of the coolest things that I still like, I mean, builders are time poor, we're trying to wear heaps of hats. I mean, how many times, Luke, would you have had a call like, what size lintel did you have here? Like, where is it, or what's it meant to be?
Or prime example, a project we got now is like we had nothing to do with the design. It's like, what is the lintel? There isn't one designed for it.
Well, but like, in one instance, I like with this, you turn all the frame layer on and zoom in, and every single member is labelled and stamped with what it's meant to be. And then as the job progresses in the contract stage, you get the bill of quantities, the cut lists and everything.
Exactly.
So, we just had a frame built from Team Subbies from us not long ago, gave them everything, and they just came in and no issues, went through with it. So, that's what I like about. I was never one to want to, and we had this chat, like one to want to just give up quoting, estimating. I'm like, well, I know how I'm going to build it. And that makes sense knowing from you, I think you've openly said, and actually, to be fair, the multiple jobs that have come across, like straight away, you look at the engineering, you're like, that's not going to work. This is a problem.
Exactly.
We've had highlight windows that weren't going to fit because, like, the truss makeup versus what was actually in the wall type. Windows weren't going to fit.
That job we're talking about as well, the classic one was the drop ceiling for the HRV and stuff like that. It's like, it's just the way it's laid out and documented, it just wasn't going to be able to be built properly on site. Or if you built it, you're not going to have room to fit units in and all that kind of stuff. So modelling it in 3D gives us an opportunity to solve those things like earlier kind of thing, rather than trusses are up, now we've got to put the unit in. You know what I mean? What are we going to do now?
We've got a prime example of that again right now as well. The boys are starting the timber frame next week. It's actually the first one that we modelled. Your team came back to us. There's a girder truss that's sitting on this giant big opening that's coming across, and then it's like, okay, well, there's only a 90 by 45 top plate sitting across there. What holds it up? Your team's like, probably need structural steel there. Go back to your designer. And 2 timber lintels that are missing as well. So stuff like that. The boys would be on site, they build the frame, put the truss up, and be like, holy shit, what's going to hold that opening up?
And the crazy thing about both of these processes is both these sets of plans have got all the way through certification, approvals, pricing stage. And who's left holding the bag? You guys, the builders, you know what I mean? So, So that's kind of our process. The other key thing about 3D is just like, I've had experiences before where, especially if you are dealing with a designer, because you guys would deal with probably a couple of architects, designers that you regularly, but then like you said, you've got jobs where you've had nothing to do with it and they get dropped on your desk, right?
Yeah.
So the other thing from a client point of view is being able to go, hey, I'm going to give you this quote, but what I'm going to be able to do is I'm actually going to show you how we're going to build it and what it's going to look like, because I've had legitimate situations where clients go, I didn't know that's what the house is going to look like. So two prime examples I've got is, one is two mirrored dwellings being built next to each other with a like parapet porch. The renders from the architect don't show any like downpipes or rain heads. But obviously if it's parapet, you're going to have to get the water out somehow. So then they've built it and the client's gone, what the hell is that ugly thing hanging on the side of the porch?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, but it's not shown in there because it wasn't thought of. And the other one was Country Town Builder again, did this job for him, and he said, I rang him up, said, how'd you go? I know you're presenting the quote, whatever. He's like, I got good news and bad news. I said, oh, okay. What's that? You know, bad news, I always think, what have we done or whatever. He goes, good news is, she looked at it and went, that's not what I thought the house is going to look like. So now we can go and get the plans changed. So the bad news is I can't start the job for another 4 months because I've got to go back and design. But the good news is I haven't built a house in a country town that a client's going, I don't like the house I've built. Because that will just ruin reputation for a country town builder.
Yeah.
So the fact that we've been able to actually physically show her and go, oh, I didn't know the highlights were going to be there or the roof was going to look like that. Because clients can't picture.
Yeah, they can't visualise.
No,
Yeah.
no.
I mean, even like on a 2D drawing and stuff, like they can't. And when you're flipping a model around and turning layers on and showing them what's going on, then it's a big difference.
It goes back into the previous conversation we had with Saxton from Align as well. Like as the designer and the builder, it's our job to educate the client on costings because they're not. It's it's not what they do every day. Same with building design.
Exactly.
The client, they're not doing that all day, every day, and it's our job to educate them and show them better ways so they can visualise it and understand what they're getting.
Exactly, and explaining, using visual process to explain the cost of something. So like biggest shock factor sometimes for clients when they see costing is like cost of big ticket, which is like footings and slabs, structural steel, stuff like that, because they're required structural details, but a client, unless they do have structural knowledge, isn't going to understand. If you pull up and say, well, look, here's the engineering drawing, here's all this, they're not going to take it in because they're not technical people. But if you can say like, hey, the reason that there's $100,000 under the ground is because here's all the step footings, there's 4 metre deep piles, then we've got to come and do it. So we've got to do 3 concrete pours because of the way we're breaking it up. It actually brings the client into your world and helps to explain those costings because they kind of go, oh, well, now I understand this. Is there an opportunity for value management? Or now I understand it, I'm comfortable here, so I know that's a required cost, so where can I cost save somewhere else kind of thing. So it just helps bring the client into that conversation, I think.
That was the end of part 1 with Tom from Vision to Estimating. Tune in next week as we dive into part 2.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you want to find out more about Build Insight, head over to the website buildinsite.com.au. Over on the website, you'll find links to previous podcast episodes as well as our YouTube channel, Instagram and Facebook. Hope you've enjoyed the episode. Catch you on the next one.
Well, that's a wrap for another week's episode of the Build Insight podcast. Before we leave, just want to give a huge shout out to all of our sponsors for their ongoing support. Without their help, Build Insight wouldn't be what it is today.
Let's cue the disclaimer. I need to let you know that myself and the Build Insight team are in no way, shape or form qualified to give you personal or specific business advice. We strongly encourage you seek out the use of professionals for products or when you are making personal or business decisions. Everything discussed during the Build Insight podcast is our own and the guest opinion and personal experience and is of a general nature only. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Catch you on the next one.